Every week in this class, you're going to be expected to turn in a status report that tells me what you've done over the past week. The status report has two purposes. Number one, it gives me a feel for what you're working on, what you're struggling with, what you can use help on. And number two, it gives you a chance to tell stories of what came from the week, which is a great practice for getting ready for interviews and getting ready for times where you'll apply and somebody asks you, hey, tell me about a time where you did this thing, and you did it in this class, and this is a chance to remember it. So again, the status report every week has to be turned in on time. If you miss it, if you miss the deadline, there's no making it up. So set yourself a reminder. It's going to be due the same time every week, so just make sure it's done. Got about a 3-day window. You can't turn it in before it opens up, but you also have to have it done for the week because that's how I do my planning for the week. So every week you want to come in and you can get started in some of this stuff. So there's me, my student ID, and then whatever the report date is. So 4 or 5, it could be the first one, depending on when you're taking the class or what week it is. You're going to put in the. It could be today's date. It could be the date of the report, whichever makes a difference. But it needs to be the one for that week. And then there's your timesheet. Now, when you work in a corporate environment, most corporations have you keep track of your time. In some cases, it's just to get paid if you're an hourly worker or if you're a contract worker. In other cases, though, it's so that way they know how much they're spending on each different project. And typically, you're going to tell it, hey, I spent this much time doing training and this much time working on project A and this much time working on project B and this much time and, uh, administrative stuff or whatever other things you're tracking time for. In this course, I want to know how much time did you spend reading the book, reading websites, whatever is assigned from the class. So maybe you spent an hour in a given different week. So how much time did you spend watching videos? Well, maybe you spent an hour and a half, 1.5. Again, this is in denominations of hours. Other resources, things outside of class, like you go to watch a YouTube video, you go and read a Slashdot article. Well, maybe I spent 15 minutes on that, 0.25. And then the working on assignments is probably where you're going to spend most of your time. So maybe you spent 5.35. I'm sorry, not 3.5. You can do 3.5, but 5.75. 5 hours and 45 minutes. In general, don't worry about anything less than 15-minute time increments. If you worked on it 5 minutes, you worked on it 15, because it takes our brain that much time to adjust and move on, and so that's good enough. So you can see the total updated. So I spent 8.5 hours working in class this week. Not a bad total. Maybe a little bit less than you'll do on most weeks. Maybe you need to be doing more. But if you got everything you wanted done, that's totally fine. This next one is how much time did you spend collaborating with others? So if you watched a video together, there's an hour. If you worked on assignments for 2 hours, there's 3 hours. It could be 0. Maybe you did everything yourself, but it could be I worked for an hour and a half with my pod in class. So whatever time you've done, this should include time in class. So again, if you've done 8.5 hours and then you also have time in class, well, you have actually done 11 hours, 11 and a half hours. So make sure it does include the time in class. So if you forgot about it, it's like, well, this was, we spent time working in class, watching course videos, whatever is going on. Those are the types of things we'll do in class. I mean, you can consider watching videos as being in class if you want to as well. But then note all that here. The time with peers doesn't get added there. And then the last thing I want you to do is how many points did you earn this week? Keep track of it. If you want to use your course plan to help update that each week, but if you didn't earn any points this week, that's a problem. In theory, you might be needing to earn 50, 75, even 100 points a week to be able to get to where you want to be. And so maybe I earned 60 points this week. All right, the bottom part of this, what's your high points? So this is all going to be validated when you submit it. It needs to be at least 25 characters here, so a couple sentences. Ideally, a little bit more than that. You don't have to spend 20 minutes writing this up, but what went well for you? So I really started to feel like the syntax issues are going away, and I can code more quickly now. Whatever's going on, you can tell me a story in more detail. I'm doing quick ones here in the interest of time, but your low points was I am still not sure how to start a problem from scratch. I get the concepts, but not how to apply them yet. What assistance do you need? So I have an issue with assignment X. Don't just leave it at that. Can you look at my codes some time this week? Let me know what you're expecting. I will send you a message. And how you're gonna let me know, or how am I, you want me to reach out to you, or whatever's going on. The more specific you are, the better. You don't need to wait till status reports to do this. If you think of it because you're doing the status report, great. But feel free to send me a note anytime. But this is a way, and this could be like, hey, I could use, I built all the examples. I could use another one, another assignment that I could work on. It could be whatever's going on there. So once you filled it all out, save it. You can save it whatever you want to. If you want to, save a copy of it. So I'm gonna save a copy of this into my download folder just because that's a nice place to do it. And this is gonna be my Tony status report. Again, I can I can name it whatever I want to. You can name one each week if you want to keep track of these. And then when you're done with that, it's time to submit it. And so the submission process is through Gradescope. So log into Gradescope. You can click on the course and head that way. If you have more than one course going on. In this case, I have a sample course where I'm going to go to my status report 1, which unfortunately is not open right now. Again, February 7th is what's going on there. So I'm going to fix that real quick and come back. But notice you have to be in the window to submit the status report. So my little accident is a good example. So excuse me just one second. All right. In that quarter of a second that elapsed, I managed to do all the fixes. I paused it. But anyway, status report 1. So really simple. All I need to do is either click on here or drag and drop the file. So if I go to my downloads folder, you can see I have Tony status report, and I can drag and drop it there, and I can upload it. Now, anytime you're doing Gradescope, you want to wait until everything is done. You want to wait until it finishes. You don't want to walk away until it's running, because if there's an error, you should go off and fix it. If you don't go off and fix it, you'll lose points. You'll get a tiny little bit of points, but you'll lose points. So you can see it gives you a quick summary of what you put inside of there. So it's going to see the high points of this. Then there's no errors. You're good to go. Let's say, for example, I come back to my status report and I delete all this stuff. And oops, can't delete that one. So I don't fill in any of that stuff, and I save it. You can always resubmit it. It's not a single time to do it. You can resubmit it again. If you mess it up, I'm actually doing it backwards this time. It all worked the first time because I filled it all out. But if you do happen to miss something, it's going to show it to you. So when it finishes running, it will say auto grader failed, and it'll give you some reasons that it failed. It'll show you your output, but it's going to show you what's missing as well. So notice, must be numeric, must be numeric, must be numeric. That's all those things have to be numbers. They can't be blank. They need to be a 0 as it comes by default, or some other number. Don't type hours, don't type minutes. It needs to be a number by itself. And then again, you need 25 characters for high points and low points. Again, I want you to put something substantive, but it needs to be at least 25 characters to pass the test. Now, I'll still get it if it passes the test. I'll still see it, but you lose at least 1 point, perhaps more, if you don't go back and fix it. So make sure you stick around and see that it works and that you're ready to go. And that, in general, is the status report.